We look back on the biggest win of the Tom Herman era. Texas men's basketball got a huge win against Kansas, how that'll affect Shaka and his team moving forward, and a Super Bowl preview. All this and more on College Crossfire.
Longhorn Nation, we're back!
I guess we'll get into it. Always enthusiastic, unbelievable, hard-nosed.
All right, let me explain why Aaron Judge is getting it. You can boo me all you want.
I knew Texas was going to win, and then one of the Texas team was going to lose.
Hammy. I don't like the Hammy.
Oh, wait, you don't like this guy?
All right, I'm done. This is all chaos.
It's the first show of 2019. Welcome into College Crossfire. Thank you for being here with us tonight. I'm your host, Jonathan Polasek. Let's meet our first set of panelists to kick off this new year. It's an all-freshman panelist, but as Sean Mapes would say, at this point, none of y'all are freshmen.
Absolutely
None of y'all
not.
are freshmen right now.
Well,
To start us off, Clark Dalton. Clark, how you doing?
I'm doing great.
Doing great, doing great. Looking to get the first win of the semester, but we've got College Crossfire first-timer Matt Marinchak. Matt, how you feeling?
Good, great to be here.
Great to be here. And another first-timer on College Crossfire is Robert Trevino. How are you feeling tonight?
I'm doing great tonight. Crowd's really loving me.
Yeah, the Boo Birds are already out. The Boo Birds are out in full force. Well, glad to have you all on tonight, so let's just jump right on in. Texas football played in the Sugar Bowl against the Georgia Bulldogs on January 1st to end their season. It was the first time since the 2009 BCS championship game that Texas played in a huge bowl game. Now, Texas wasn't given much of a chance to beat Georgia, but the Horns came out hot and coasted to an easy 28-21 win. But just how great of a win was this? Let's start with Clark.
This is the biggest win in the Tom Herman era, no question. It's really, truly that trademark win that Tom was looking for, because you had USC earlier that year, but this was not the USC team of old. That's a team that struggled a bit. They were 5-7. Georgia was just a year ago. They were one play away from potentially winning the national championship, and this proved that Texas can contend on an elite scale. They're among the top teams in the nation. They're with Oklahoma now. They're with Alabama, and they're with Clemson. They now have a chance to truly give them a test.
And they're also above Georgia.
Yes. Yes,
Just
they
don't
are
tell
above
that to the
Georgia.
AP poll.
Exactly.
Matt, what do you think?
I think it was a great game. Like, Texas really needed this win, like, especially after that loss to Oklahoma in the Big 12 championship. Like, they needed to beat a good team. Georgia's top four all season except for the final week. They needed to be an SEC powerhouse to prove they're back.
Yeah, they needed to beat an SEC powerhouse. They needed to do it convincingly, and that's what they did when they just ran the ball down Georgia's throat. Nobody thought that any Big 12 team could do that to an SEC team. Robert?
This is Vince Young in 04 in the Rose Bowl beating Michigan. All right?
Alrighty.
The hype is there. The hype is there. You got to understand. Next year, Sam Ehlinger is going to come back. He's got 2 years left. 2 years left. 2 years. That's 2 whole years. He's halfway done. And we still have so many guys coming back. The recruiting class is good. We got Brew McCoy coming in from USC. I think you got to understand the expectations are going to be that much higher. Did Texas luck out by a bylaw, getting in the Sugar Bowl with 3-4 losses? Maybe, but they still won.
They still won. They have this elite recruiting class. They have Sam Ehlinger coming back, and he's been as good as advertised ever since he stepped on to the field as a freshman. Robert, you're starting us off with the very first points of 2019. So you should be proud of that. Moving on, we've got quarterback Sam Ehlinger. He didn't necessarily have the best numbers, but he was very effective. So how do you evaluate his performance in the Sugar Bowl? And at this point, you can just jump in at any time and just discuss.
I'm going to say Sam Ehlinger was Drew Brees-esque since he was playing in the Superdome. Now, he didn't put up the big numbers of Drew Brees, but he played with that accuracy you looked for. And the thing that was impressive about Sam in the Sugar Bowl was he extended plays on 3rd and 10, 3rd and 15. He was able to use his legs to give Texas the momentum they needed and truly assert their will against Georgia.
Yeah, he definitely asserted his will with his running ability, with his ability to just fit the ball into those tight windows, completing around 70% of his passes. Matt, Robert, what do y'all think?
Well, I say Ehlinger was Brees-esque, except for the fact that Ehlinger did win this game.
That he did!
But Ehlinger had a fantastic
won a Super
performance.
Bowl.
This is the kind of performance that you see the year before a guy wins the Heisman. This isn't the performance you see you know, Johnny Manziel. This was like where Johnny Manziel kind of peaked, all right? A big win in the Peach Bowl. But Ellinger, this is not his peak. He's got so much more in the tank left to go. He wants a national title. I think he's got a great chance.
He's got a great chance, definitely.
Like,
Matt?
Sam played great. I wouldn't compare him to Drew Brees. Like, he runs a lot more than Drew Brees. More like a Tim Tebow, but he played a great game. 3 rushing touchdowns, 21 rushing attempts.
He's high school.
He ran more ball, like he ran it more than like Keontae Ingram and like Trey Watson. But you gotta do what you gotta do to win the game, and Sam put up those numbers to bring Texas to the win.
Yeah, he definitely did what he had to do to get Texas the win. Clark, Matt, you each got 2 points. Robert, you did have 2 points to bring you to 3, but I had to take one away because of Johnny Manziel. We don't mention him here on this show. Sorry.
I
Sorry.
did disparage him.
So we've talked about Sam and the numbers that he put up against Georgia, and going into his junior year now, his 3rd year with Tom Herman and Tim Beck. How does he perform next year, and is he a legitimate Heisman Trophy contender going into his junior
So
season?
going into next year, he has way more weapons than he had this year. Jordan Whittington, Brew McCoy, Marcus Washington. Nobody's gonna stop those receivers in the Big 12. Like, you still got Colin Johnson. He's not gonna win the Heisman. That's gonna be Trevor Lawrence, but Sam's gonna come near 2nd or 3rd. He's gonna have the best season of his career.
Well, I like the hot take about an early Heisman prediction for next year, Trevor Lawrence. I think Sam Ellinger, whenever you talk contenders, you can always say, well, these 10, these 15 guys, they all have a chance. But Sam, I think, is really that top 5. You know, you're playing NCAA college football, it just gives you a list of 5 guys right there. I think Sam's one of those guys. Top 5 players in the country. If Texas goes to the college football playoff, he will win the Heisman.
Ooh, like that prediction. Clark?
I think he should definitely be considered in the top 3 in the Heisman. He's clearly proven that he's among the Tua Tagovailoas and Trevor Lawrences by taking this team and inducing some energy into it that it didn't have before prior to this season. And one thing Sam has talked about, and you heard it at the beginning of the season, is experience. And this is his 3rd year with this offense, so he's completely comfortable with it now. And when you give him some extra weapons, the sky's the limit.
Oh yeah, he has these extra weapons now. Yes, he lost L.J. Humphrey, but he's got all of these new guys coming in from this most recent signing class: Brew McCoy, Jake Smith, Jordan Whittington. Sam's going to be pretty tough to beat. The Texas offense is going to be pretty tough to stop going into this next season. So Clark, I gave you another 2 points. Matt 1, and Robert, you got 2 this time. Didn't take any away from you. Moving on, after the last bowl game was played, the last AP poll came out with Texas at 9 and still sitting behind Georgia. Now, is that too low, or did the AP poll get it right?
That's too low. Like, if anything, like, not top 14, but definitely better than Georgia. They curb stomped Georgia that whole game. Georgia, it's all this SEC bias. I'd give Texas like number 6, above Florida, above Georgia. Like, Texas, nobody credits Texas for what they've done. They're one of the best teams in the country this year. They should be top 5, top 6, easily.
Well, I'd say I agree. They need to be above Georgia. I mean, it's just silly when you beat a team and you're not ranked above them. But Texas did have those losses. It had numerous losses. You lose to West Virginia, you lose to Oklahoma State, you lose to Maryland.
Again?
But still, they got the huge win over Georgia. Georgia didn't deserve to be ranked as highly as the Longhorns, but Texas kind of should be happy with where they were.
I think Texas should definitely be ranked above Georgia, but one main reason is when Georgia played in the big games, they did not deliver this season aside from Kentucky. Now, when they went to LSU in Death Valley, they lost by 23 points, and they let the game slip away against Alabama when Jalen Hurts was in. And Texas, on the other hand, when they played USC, they played TCU, they played Oklahoma, they always stepped up to the occasion. Even in the West Virginia loss, they were really close to winning that game. It was only 1 point. So this Texas team steps up to the occasion. Georgia did not throughout the season. They were somewhat of a disappointment.
Like, that's the thing with Texas. Like, when they play the good teams, they step up. Like, when they play bad teams like Kansas, K-State, they'll play down. Like, you'll notice that, but they still get the wins. Both, like, 3 of their losses were, like, good teams: West Virginia, OK State, OU. But that's not an excuse. Like, they're still a good team. They still played well.
Yeah, no, they did play well, and going into the West Virginia game, playing West Virginia, they were up at the end, and then it's just the defense just kind of gave out at the very end, and then Will Grier just does what he does, and that's he brings it in for the 2-point conversion and the win. Just really just a heartbreaking loss for Texas. So I gave each of y'all, I gave you 2 points, Clark. I gave Robert you 2 points, and Matt, you got 3 for your answer there. So right now it's all tied up at 6 points apiece. 6 points apiece. So we're going into this next season. Is it championship or bust for Texas this year?
No.
Not at all?
Like, Sam has 2 good more years. Like, Texas, they have at least 2 more years than once Sam's going. You have Roshan Johnson. They're going to be a good team for a while. They don't need to win the Natty this year. You got Clemson, Trevor Lawrence. They'll do it in the next 3 years, easily.
Now, the interesting thing is, if we're sitting here in 2011, 2012, and we're saying championship or bust, that means you got to be top 2. You got to be undefeated. But it's not that way anymore. There's 4 teams, college football playoff. In Texas, the expectations there, they can drop 1 or 2, they can win the Big 12 title, and they can still kind of sneak in. I know there's not that kind of bias that there is with the SEC, but outside of Oklahoma, the Big 12 hasn't had anybody. I mean, you look at Oklahoma, they win their conference, they lose 1 or 2 games, they're still in that title. They're still in the college football playoff, and so that's why I think Texas, they've got to get in the college football playoff in order to have that step up that Longhorn fans just want to see.
Clark?
I'm going to be bold here.
Okay.
I feel like,
You like bold.
I feel like this is the year that Texas needs to get to the college football playoff. And
Needs to, okay.
yes, has to be the year. 3rd year, Tom Herman has to deliver. I don't necessarily know if they can go in and beat an Alabama to go to the national championship game, but I certainly think they can contend. They have a great recruiting class, and now with Sam Ehlinger and that additional experience, there's no reason this team can't make the playoff.
Absolutely no reason that they shouldn't make the playoffs this next year. I believe that they absolutely should. They should be able to go through. The Big 12 looks to be a little bit down this next year. West Virginia's losing their starting quarterback. Oklahoma, they have a transfer coming in. It is Jalen Hurts, though.
Yeah.
But
Right.
I don't think he's as polished a passer as either Baker Mayfield or
absolutely
Kyler
not.
Murray was. So Texas has a legitimate shot to run through the Big 12 and potentially get to the college football playoffs. So we've got Clark with 7 points, Matt with 7 points, and Robert with 8. When we return, we're talking about Texas's chances to make the tournament and how one NBA superstar might be on the move before the trade deadline. Stick around. Welcome back to College Crossfire. Let's remind everybody of the score. We've got Clark and Matt with 7 and Robert with 8. So he's in the lead right now. Still anybody's game. Texas men's basketball head coach Shaka Smart is in year 4 with the program, but his results overall have been a little mixed. On one hand, Shaka has been able to win some big games such as UNC twice and most recently Kansas, but he's also had his struggles as well, from not getting out of the first round of the tournament twice in 3 seasons, and even missing the tournament altogether in his 2nd season. But we're focused on this season now. They're 12-9 and just knocked off Kansas. So can Texas make the tournament, and will Shaka be able to keep his job? Let's start with Clark.
I think Texas will make the tournament, even though they have a tough road game at Iowa State this weekend. 3 of their next 4 conference games are at home, and they played really well at their Irwin Center this season. Now, about Shaka's job security, even if they get to the NCAA tournament and they don't win a game, he's gone. The only way Shaka stays is if you make a miraculous run in the tournament. I'm talking to the Elite 8 or even maybe the Final 4. That's the only way he will stay at Texas, because that is the expectation that has been set by Shaka, and time again, he's failed to meet it.
Yeah, that is what Texas was expecting when they hired him away from VCU. They had just gone on to the Final Four in 2011, I believe it was, and he hasn't been able to bring that style of play over to Austin, it seems, in his 4 years here. Matt?
I don't think his job's safe. He's at the point where he's kind of like the Charlie Strong of basketball. He has good 3-year runs.
Wow.
Like, he lost to Radford. Who's Radford? Anybody ever heard of Radford? Like,
Not till this season.
Like, he has a few good wins, but they're not making the tournament. Too many good Big 12 teams. Like, they're not. Even if they do, they'll only make it if it's going to be like last year with Mo Bamba, because Jackson Hayes is a lottery pick. That's the only reason they'll make it.
And the thing is, the Big 12's been kind of down this year, so that's what makes missing the tournament even bigger for Texas and for Shaka.
Yeah.
Robert?
I think when we say the Big 12 is down this year, we mean Kansas is down this year, because every year since I was like 3, Kansas has won the Big 12. And so you look at Texas is going to make the tourney this year. I mean, they played, I hate saying this, but they played Texas Tech close. And Texas Tech is not a team that anyone wants to be reckoned with, and I'm saying that as a guy from Lubbock. But 806. But Texas does have the mustard, and I think Shaka Smart, he's kind of just setting himself up for the same expectations people had of him at VCU, where people had really low expectations. Maybe this is all just part of his plan to tank Texas, to have no expectations, to always exceed them in the tournament. He's just playing the strategy.
Well, you were going to get the point until you said that he was tanking Texas. So, Clark, I'm going to go ahead and give you the points. I think Shaka, he needs to be able to find a way to make his way into the tournament. Otherwise, I think he is out.
Yeah.
Moving on, Super Bowl Sunday is coming up this weekend, and who else should be there but Tom Brady, Bill Belichick, and the Patriots. After taking down the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game, Brady is going to his 9th Super Bowl and looks to add a 6th ring. In order to do that, however, he has to go through the young, hotshot Los Angeles Rams. Jared Goff and head coach Sean McVay are both making their first Super Bowl appearance, but have taken the league by storm since last year. It's experience versus youth. So who comes out on top this weekend? Let's start with Matt.
I want to say, this is going to be a hot take right here. Rams 38, Patriots 31. Only because Belichick hasn't seen a coach like McVay before. McVay's a young offensive-minded, has a unique play style. He's going to bring his team with Jared Goff, Todd Gurley, Brandon Cooks. It's going to be closer than people think, but they're going to win this game. Defensively, Belichick's team has the edge, but offensively, Rams, easily.
You have to realize, though, that Belichick has not 1 week, but 2 weeks to prepare for this offense, and given time, he can pretty much do anything.
Yeah, McVay could prepare too.
He could. He could. That is true, okay?
He could.
Robert?
Listen, it's Sean McVay's first year. I was raised an Indianapolis Colts fan. And there are 2 things that you learn when you're an Indianapolis Colts fan. Number 1, that Peyton Manning is the greatest quarterback to ever play for the Colts.
Okay.
Number 2 is that you never doubt the New England Patriots. Tom Brady is not going to let this one slip by him. You think he isn't still every night thinking about the Super Bowl that Nick Foles took from him? He's coming back, and they're winning by at least 21.
At least 21. I like that. I like the bold prediction. Clark, what do you say to that?
I'd have to agree with Robert just because of the disrespect level that's been shown towards Tom Brady. We know that Tom has that little bit of competitive fire in him from him being a 6th-round draft pick that always seems to drive him in clutch situations. And throughout the season, we've been saying it's the decline of Brady, the dynasty is over. And the way he's been playing in the playoffs, I think he's out to prove that it's not over. And I'm still the best in the world. And it showed against the Chargers and Chiefs, who both had better rosters than the Patriots, and they're similar to the Rams. Both have good defensive lines. And the Chiefs led the league in sacks, so I don't think Ndamukong Suh and Aaron Donald will be able to pressure Brady well.
I mean, I don't know if I can agree with that. I think both Aaron Donald and Ndamukong Suh, that's just right there, just up the middle. I think they're going to be able to get to Brady a little bit at least, a little bit. Yeah. But I'm going to have to go with Robert. I think that Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, they're going to win the Super Bowl this year. I don't think it's going to be by 21.
At least.
But I think that they are going to win it all this year. So, Robert, you're getting the point. Moving on to the NBA. The NBA trade deadline is always a hectic time. Role players move from team to team, and you even see stars switching. This year, the biggest news regarding trades is Anthony Davis, one of the most skilled big men in the game today. Now, recently, Davis's camp came out demanding a trade. Davis has struggled with either injuries or bad teams while with the New Orleans Pelicans in his tenure there. But it seems inevitable that he is going to be gone at some point. The only question is when. So, will Anthony Davis be traded at the deadline? And if so, who will he play for? Let's start with Robert.
I don't think Anthony Davis is going to go by the trade deadline. I don't think the Pelicans are really inclined to give him really up for a bunch of stuff right now. I mean, if he leaves and tests the free agent market, the New Orleans Pelicans can kind of start their new kind of rebuilding era. Everything that Anthony Davis was supposed to bring around them was focused and centered around Anthony Davis. Without him, they could bring in a few role player guys, maybe like $10 million in cash. But other than that, they'd be missing out on a lot of other assets. But I think the thing that's most, the best part of this whole situation is the $50,000 fine on Anthony Davis that the NBA set. It's actually statistically like fining the average American $83, which to me is a lot of money.
That's a lot for me.
$83, that's a lot of 4 for 4s right there.
A lot of 4 for 4s, definitely. Clark.
And what's funny about that Anthony Davis 50,000 stat is he'll make that back in 8 game minutes. But the Pelicans today just took Anthony Davis out of their intro video. I think he's gone, and it's going to be to the Los Angeles Lakers. He's talking to LeBron James for a reason.
Okay.
Everybody who's a great player wants to play with LeBron James. He's a generational talent. How could you not miss on that opportunity? And even though the Lakers don't necessarily have great assets, the Pelicans need to focus on their future, and that means acquiring first-round draft picks so they can build for another star that lands.
Yeah, they should trust the process, like the 76ers
Exactly.
should say. Just get rid of any talent you may have, accrue those picks, and just completely rebuild. Matt?
He's definitely getting traded. It's either going to be the Lakers or Celtics. There's no reason they're going to keep him. And even if the smartest thing is trade him to the Lakers. They have so much young talent: Lonzo, Kuzma, Hart, Ingram. Get any of those guys, trade off Davis. If Davis doesn't work out there, oh well, he's a free agent. It's not like they're losing much. Whoever picks him up has to pay him $250 million. So he's gone. Yeah.
Yeah, I honestly think that he's out of here as well. I think he's going to be gone by the trade deadline, and I believe that he's probably going to end up with the Lakers, and the Pelicans, they're going to get a lot in return for him. I'm thinking it's probably going to be Kuzma, Ball, and Ingram at least, and that's just the starting point. Matt, you're getting the point to take us to break, so that's it for now. We've got Rapid Fire up next. Stick around. Welcome back to College Crossfire. It's time for Rapid Fire, but let's go ahead and remind everybody about how it's going to play out. In Rapid Fire, each question is worth 2 points, and you can jump in at any time. We've got Clark with 8 points, Matt with 8 points, and Robert leading the way with 9. But that can all change in a second. Brecken Hager is very well known for his long loss, or at least he used to be. He promised to only get them cut off if Texas won the Big 12. So he grew his hair out for 4 years. And while Texas didn't win the Big 12, they did win the Sugar Bowl, which was reason enough for him to chop it all off. UT alum Matthew McConaughey was the lucky person to give Brecken his first haircut in 4 years. The Minister of Culture, yes. But if you could have given Hager a haircut, what kind would you have given to him? What kind of style would you have done?
Easy, Mohawk.
Mohawk?
It fits his personality. He's bold, he's flamboyant, he's a defensive player, so it adds a level of intimidation.
Okay, I like that. The Mohawk, the intimidation factor is especially needed for him, just being on the defensive line. Matt,
I would
Robert?
have given him the Full Metal Jacket buzz cut at the beginning of the movie because you know why? Because it doesn't count. It wasn't the Big 12 title. Now I know he had to cut off his hair at some point. You can't expect the man to do that. But it's the principle of the thing. He said he would win the Big 12 title. He really got me thinking, is this dude really are these plans really spoken to him? And I think it just didn't really count. So I would have given him the old Full Metal Jacket.
Yeah, made a promise, didn't keep it. Didn't keep it. Matt?
He seems like a hipster kind of guy. Like, I'd give him a man bun,
A man bun? He can do that right now.
Tie it up.
or a fade or something. I don't know.
Or a fade or
fade,
something.
yeah.
I don't
This is
know.
different.
He could
Wildly
put his hair in a bun
different.
before he got it cut off. I don't think he can really do that now. I'm going to have to go with Robert getting the 2 points. I mean, he made a promise and didn't keep it. I'm sorry. He said he was going to win the Big 12. Texas didn't. They did go to the Sugar Bowl.
That's
But
not
still.
a Big 12.
The NFL Pro Bowl has generally been a snooze fest over the years, whether it be inflated scores or players not tackling or attempting to play defense for that matter, to not trying on special teams. The Pro Bowl has been highly criticized over the years. While the NFL has tried to improve it with a draft and skills challenges, what other ways could you improve the Pro Bowl? You can jump in at any time.
It's kind of bold, but I'm going to say it. Do what they do in baseball with the World Series. Have it determined, not actually have it be between the two teams in the Super Bowl, but determine if it's at an AFC site or NFC site. That would add more interest to the game.
Okay. Maybe make it something actually worth playing for. Matt, Robert?
Just do something to make them play defense. They're basically playing two-hand touch. Nobody's covering anybody. Literally the MVP of that game, Michael Dixon. Best player on that field. But add something to the game. Something to make it fun. Get people's interest. Nobody watched that game. Nobody wasted money on that game.
I didn't watch that game, so I mean, it's just
No.
it's gotten to that point. Robert?
Yeah, well, I think the problem is everyone wants to make it with the intensity you see on NFL Sunday. It's never going to be like that. These guys aren't playing for anything. What you got to see, you want to see something different. You know what they should do? Every offensive player has to play on defense. Every defensive player has to play on offense. You're seeing something different. You're seeing something bold. Change the rules. Make it a little XFL. Make it a little AAF. Make it something that you never see on any other given Sunday.
Yeah, they actually did a little bit of that with
Saquon,
Alvin Kamara rushing the passer.
Saquon.
Make it required.
Jalen Ramsey
Required.
catching a touchdown pass from Deshaun Watson.
I want to
He's
see
picking off whoever the AFC quarterback was.
Exactly.
I want to see Patrick Mahomes kick a 40-yard field goal.
A 40-yard field goal?
I'd pay money to see that. I'd tune in.
All right. I like that. I really do. Robert, you're getting the 2 points for that as well. So we're moving on to the final rapid-fire question. And I mentioned earlier that Tom Brady is gearing up to play in his 9th Super Bowl this weekend. That's impressive for any player in any sport, let alone football. Now, for the win, I want you to give me every team that Brady has faced and also the year in which he's faced each team. Each correct answer will give you 1 point, so anybody can still win this game.
Rams 2002, Panthers
Not
2004.
2002.
Giants
2001, Rams 2001,
Giants
Rams 2001, Panthers 2004,
Okay,
Eagles
okay,
2005,
Rams
then
2001, I heard.
2009 Giants.
Panthers 2004,
2000,
Four.
no.
2003. 2003.
Eagles,
Panthers.
Falcons.
It's the Eagles in
The
2018.
season, not the year that is currently played in, the season.
The
Panthers
season.
2003,
Eagles
2003.
2017. Eagles
Eagles
2017.
2017.
Eagles 2004,
2007
Eagles
2007
2017,
Giants.
2012 Giants.
2014.
2011 Giants.
2011 Giants.
2011 Giants,
Okay.
2007 Giants as well.
Panthers 2004.
Already heard that. It was no, we've already heard that, but it's 03.
Yeah.
And who said? Okay, somebody's got to go. Just be honest. Who gave me Atlanta?
Me. I said
Atlanta. What season?
One me. I didn't.
2017 Atlanta Falcons. No, 2016 Atlanta Falcons.
I heard it from
okay.
Matt first, but okay. So let me go through all of this. I don't even know where to start.
Dude, calculate.
So what we have is Clark with 11, Matt with 10, and Robert with 15. So Robert, he's got the win. Do we have
Let's
time
go.
for FaceTime? Do we? I don't
me some
know if we
FaceTime.
have time for FaceTime. We do have time for FaceTime. Go ahead.
Let's do it. All right. Let's just get some love for a team that is a small market team and never gets any love. I promise if I'd ever get the honor of being on FaceTime, I'd give them a shout out. Shout out the greatest, the first actual pro football team in the state of Texas, the Indianapolis Colts. And yes, I'll give some history for that. Look it up, kids. As the Dallas Texans moved, became the Baltimore Colts, moved from there and became the Indianapolis Colts. Super Bowl champs next year.
It's a little bold, but okay. I don't know if that's going to happen, but that's all. I think that's all the time that we have for tonight. So congratulations to our winner, Robert Trevino. Make sure to tune in into our sister show, College Press Box, on Mondays at 9:30 p.m. Be sure to join us again next Wednesday at 9. Don't forget to follow at TSTV Sports on social media. And for all the panelists and everyone in studio and master control, I'm Jonathan Polasek. Have a wonderful evening.
Yeah.
That was a good show.